So, on November 28th, Elon Musk posted this tweet. The Twitter files on free speech suppression soon to be published on Twitter itself. The public deserves to know what really happened. No, and that tweet had a lot of people excited, especially me. That's for sure. Now, I was wondering what he would be releasing. Would he be releasing a report on how Twitter shadow ban people, due to their political beliefs? Could it be emails between governmental agencies like the FBI, asking Twitter to suspend or keep an eye on certain accounts? Well, what Elon is calling the Twitter files dive into what happened during the suppression of the New York Post over the Hunter Biden laptop story. No, and I have to say, I was pleasantly surprised because it touched on all of the above. Now, it wasn't released in a traditional way, and you have Tim Pool and some other people kind of saying they didn't like the way it was released. I liked the way it was released, and it was released via thread. And I'm sure it was done that way because they kind of wanted to, build tension as this was dropping, and they did a good job on that because every 5 seconds I'd be refreshing my goddamn page because I didn't want to miss the next post. I wanted to be there. I wanted to be commenting, right when it dropped, reading it, kind of giving my 2 cents in, maybe, retweeting it, maybe quote tweeting it, and I was doing that. I was highly engaged the whole time, and what was great about it is he made the leak of a highly controversial political psyop an event, and it was done masterfully. Gotta give him that. He knows how to make an event. But on December 2nd, Elon tweets this. What really happened with the Hunter Biden story suppression by Twitter will be published on Twitter at 5 p.m. Eastern. So we didn't know, or at least I didn't read what day it would be out. He just said he was going to be releasing it next week. And I was actually, like I said, I was writing that FTX story. And then I see that pop up and I'm just like, holy shit, is that happening today? So I was patiently waiting. I think I saw that at like noon at 5 p.m. Eastern. So that's 3 o'clock here. And of course, it didn't drop on time. And I'm sure it was planned that way. But at 6:44 p.m. Eastern, we see this tweet. Here we go. Popcorn emoji, popcorn emoji. And this is a retweet from Matt Taibbi. So we're going to go through this just, tweet by tweet. I'm just going to add in my thoughts here and there because it's pretty self-explanatory. Let's look at this, guys, because I thought this was significant. Maybe you guys might not think so, but I think it is. So let's read this. Thread, the Twitter files. What you are about to read is the first installment in a series based upon thousands of internal documents obtained by sources at Twitter. The Twitter files tell an incredible story from inside one of the world's largest and most influential social media platforms. It is a Frankensteinian tale of human-built mechanism grown out of control of its designer. Twitter, in its conception, was a brilliant tool for enabling instant mass communications, making a true real-time global conversation possible for the first time. In early conception, Twitter more than lived up to its mission statement, giving people the power to create and share ideas and information instantly without barriers. As time progressed, however, the company was slowly forced to add those barriers. Some of the first tools for controlling speech were designed to combat the likes of spam and financial fraudsters. Slowly, over time, Twitter staff and executives began to find more and more use for these tools. Outsiders began petitioning the company to manipulate speech as well, first a little, then more often, then constantly. By 2020, requests from connected actors to delete tweets were routine. One executive would write to another, more to review from the Biden team. The reply would come back handled. So let's bring this up here. So what we're seeing is an email sent on October 24th, 2020 at 5:39 p.m. And basically this person saying, hey, we received emails from the Biden team, because Biden wasn't president at the time, or was running for president. So it's the Biden team asking to review these accounts. And these are obviously the handles with the post numbered over here. And I'm going to take it that handled means that they deleted these tweets. And it's probably because they were posting stuff from the Hunter Biden's laptop. And when I was watching Crowder earlier today, he was saying when they were looking into these accounts, because he got better tools than I have. I'm just some guy who yells at my screen here. He was saying that a lot of these are just anti-Chinese accounts, anti-CCP accounts. The Chinese, that's what these are. Like none of these had anything to do with posting things from the Hunter Biden laptop. So that gives you any context of what they were doing. Anyways, so let's continue on. Celebrities and unknowns alike could be removed or reviewed at the behest of the political party. And let's look at this one, because this one's really fucking interesting. So on October 24, 2020, 6:54 p.m., an additional report from the DNC. And so this is for Steph Lahoon and the real James Wood. And then they said, I grabbed the first one under SI. I don't know what that means, but deferred to safety on the high-profile second one. So the high-profile second one is James Woods, right? So they suspended James Woods' account because he posted something from the Hunter Biden laptop story, and they were saying that it was a safety concern. I don't understand what he was posting that was a safety concern. And I think he's actually came out and said that what he posted was just I'm trying to remember what it was. I think what he posted was just an article that was talking about what was found on that laptop. And I think he's currently putting stuff together to sue the DNC. Because he didn't post anything wrong. Nothing that was safe, worth looking over safety issues wise. He was just posting something from the Hunter Biden laptop story that he thought was, people should see, which should be fine. He wasn't breaking any rules. They took it in their hands to say, well, we're going to make up a reason that for why you broke our rules and just suspend your account, which is wrong. It's suppression of information. Anyways, let's continue on. Both parties had access to these tools. For instance, in 2020's requests from both the Trump White House and the Biden campaign were received and honored. However, the system wasn't balanced. It was based on contacts because Twitter was and is overwhelmingly staffed by people from one political orientation. There were more channels, more ways to complain, open to the left than the right. So, what Matt's basically saying there is both parties had been corresponding with Twitter to review accounts. But because the Democrats Party, contributed more to Twitter, the accounts reviewed for the Democrat Party were prioritized and handled, proving the claims of bias against right-wing accounts. So, and let's take a look at this, just because this is kind of eye-opening and it kind of shows you like how much bias there is because of the donations that the Democratic Party was giving to Twitter. So, and this is from that same post. It's just the picture that was part of it. So in 2018, the total amount donated to Twitter was a little over 300,000. All right. The Democrats contributed 96% of that total, which is just under $300,000. The Republicans contributed 3% of a whopping $11,000. And that makes sense of why more right-wing accounts were getting suppressed, because Twitter's getting more money from the Democratic Party. And that was for the 2018 midterms. And then for the presidential election in 2020. Hey, YouTube, I'm not saying that this affected the outcome of the election. I'm just saying it's a little fucking weird, okay? Not saying that. The freest and fair election ever was the 2020 election. Freest and fairest. So in 2020, Democrats contributed 98% of the total amounts, which was just underneath $1 million. Jesus, dude. So they were sitting at $909,000 contributed, 98%. Republicans only contribute 1%, 1.5%, a whopping 14,000. Oh no! And then in our midterms in 2020, I'm afraid to say elections. The Democratic Party contributed 99% of total donations to Twitter. 165,000 to Republicans, 20.27%, which is $451. Oh man. So explain to me again how Twitter did not have a left-wing bias, and how the Democrats didn't use Twitter to help them win. I'm not even going to say the last word. Because the receipts are right there in front of you. We just showed you it. And that to me is proof that they're donating so much money to Twitter that Twitter would obviously prioritize them over the right. Money talks. And that's just basically it. So let's continue on here, huh? The resulting slant in content moderation's decision is visible in the documents you are about to read. However, it is also the assessments of multiple current and former high-level executives. Okay, there was more throat clearing about the process, but screw it, let's jump forward. Hold on real quick. The Twitter Files, Part 1. How and why Twitter blocked the Hunter Biden laptop story. And so, hold on. So, real quick, guys. So, you see the difference between 12 and 16? I think he had more already planned out to do it, and that's why he says, I think it's redundant to show you this, so we're just going to jump forward, and we jump forward to 16. Everybody's like, what happened to 13, 14, and 15? Why did you skip 13 and 14 and 15? Anyways, on October 14th, 2020, the New York Post published Biden's secret emails and exposed based on the contents of Hunter Biden's abandoned laptop. Twitter took extraordinary steps to suppress the story, removing links posting warnings that it may be unsafe. They even blocked its transmission via direct message, a tool hitherto reserved for extreme cases. And the example he gives is child pornography. White House spokeswoman Kayleigh McEnany was locked out of her account for tweeting about the story, prompting a furious letter from Trump campaign staffer Mike Hahn, who seethed, quote, at least pretend to care for the next 20 days. And let's look at this email, huh? So from Mike Hahn, urgent subject is Kayleigh McEnany, and to Twitter's government and politics. Kayleigh McEnany, at Kayleigh McEnany, has been locked out from her account for simply talking about the New York Post story. All she did was cite the story and firsthand reporting that has been reported by other outlets and not disputed by the Biden campaign. I need an answer immediately on when and how she will be unlocked. I also don't appreciate how nobody on this team called me regarding the news that you'll be censoring news articles. Like I said, at least pretend to care for the next 20 days. This led public policy executives Caroline Strom to send out a polite "what the fuck" query. Several employees noted that there was tension between the comms policy teams, who had little less control over moderation, and the safety trust teams. And this is just her saying, "Hey, hi team, are you able to take a closer look here? Thank you." Okay, whatever. Strom's note returned the answer that the laptop story had been removed for violation of the company's hacked material policy. Thanks for reaching out to us. Per checking, the user was bounced by site integrity for violating our hacked materials policy, adding them for further insight and guidance. Thanks. Ops analyst, yeah, so this is for the global team. Although several sources recalled hearing about a general warning from federal law enforcement that summer about possible foreign hacks, there is no evidence that I've seen of any governmental involvement in the laptop story. So that last part right there, I don't blame Matt Taibbi for he doesn't know everything. There's a lot of articles and information out right now that shows that governmental agencies were working with social media sites before this all happened. And we'll watch a clip of basically Mark Zuckerberg, corroborating that. But I can't, it's just weird to me that they locked out the press secretary's account because they claimed she violated their hacked materials policy. The laptop was left at a computer repair shop. Nothing was hacked. They're just making up stuff to justify their overuse of power. Because in that article from the New York Post, it specifically says that this was left at a computer repair shop. And the person who gave the laptop out has came out and said, "Hey, no, it wasn't hacked. I was working on it. And if anybody wants to question me, I'll be more than willing to come in and answer questions about what's going on here." So they knew it wasn't hacked, but they still went with that story because that's all they had. And it wasn't a lot to go off of, it's wrong. But anyways, let's continue on here. The decision was made at the highest levels of the company, but without the knowledge of CEO Jack Dorsey, with former head of legal policy Trust Via Jagade playing a key role. They just freelanced it, is how one former employee characterized the decision. Hacking was the excuse, but within a few hours, pretty much everyone realized that wasn't going to hold. But no one had the guts to reverse it. You can see the confusion in the following lengthy exchange, which ends up including Gadid and former Trust and Safety Chief Yoel Roth. Comms official Trenton Kennedy writes, "I'm struggling to understand the policy basis for marking this as unsafe." So, privileged and confidential. The Hunter Biden laptop article. Our teams continue to investigate the origins of the material, including the reporting. Why do you need to investigate that? Trenton Kennedy, I'm struggling to understand the policy basis for marking this as unsafe, and I think the best explainability argument for this externally would be that we're waiting to understand if the story is the result of hacked materials. We'll face hard questions on this if we don't have some kind of solid reasoning for marking the link unsafe. Katie Rosenberg, will we also mark similar stories as unsafe because Fox News was also reporting on it as well? So if they're going to keep everything fair, they need to take down Fox News's article, but they can't do that because they have no course to take stuff down. Because they're making shit up. And this is the thing, is they're not going to get in trouble for what the New York Post wrote. So Why not just err on the side of, you know what, we can't really say that it's not hacked, so we're just going to let it roll. And if we find out that it's hacked, then we take everything down from there. You know, like, that's the reasonable way to go. But no, they need to suppress it because it's bad for their political team. Anyways, let's continue on. It upsets me. By this point, everyone knew this was fucked, said one former employee, but the response was essentially to err on the side of continuing to err. Yoel Roth. The policy basis is hacked materials, though, as discussed, this is an emerging situation where the facts remain unclear. Given the severe risks here and lessons of 2016, we are erring on the side of including a warning and preventing this content from being amplified. Via Jagade said. What is the warning that will come up? Yoel Roth. When you click the link, you'll see the generic unsafe URL references spam, malware, and violations of the Twitter rules. Not idle, but it's the only thing we have. Ian Plunkett. Whatever we do in the comms, this will become a bias claim for Jack pre-hearing immediately. Let's make it clear we're proactively but cautiously interpreting this through the lens of our hacked materials policy and allowing link with the warning and significant reduction of spread. So they're already saying that they go, we don't know if we can do this, but let's just keep on doing it because this is all we have. Former VP of Global Comms, Brandon Broman, asks, can we truthfully claim that this is part of the policy? Because everybody else is like, I don't know. I don't think we can do this. To Ian's point, can we truthfully claim this is as part of our the policy? As, for example, part of our approach to addressing potential hacked materials, we are limiting visibility of related stories on Twitter while our investigation is ongoing, right? You know, you're still investigating it, but you're not allowing it to show. You should let it show because this is a First Amendment thing. You can't stop the spread of news. So you might as well just let the story go. And if it comes out that it is hacked, then you take it down. You don't get to make the rules like that. Anyways, they're a private company. Everybody says, to which former Deputy General Counsel Jim Baker again seems to advise staying the non-course because caution is warranted. Jim Baker, I support the conclusion that we need more facts to assess whether the materials were hacked. At this stage, however, it is reasonable for us to assume that they may have been and that caution is warranted. There are some facts that indicate that the materials may have been hacked, while there are others indicating that the computer was either abandoned and or the owner consented to allow the repair shop to access it for the for at least some purpose. We simply need more information. it's all right there. A fundamental problem with tech companies and content moderations. Many people in charge of speech care little about speech and have to be told the basics by outsiders. So, from the gist of those emails that we've been reading, you know, they basically are saying because we think this is hacked, we will suppress the story because this is too dangerous. We don't know if it's hacked, but fuck it. We will roll with the punches. Now, that's the thought process right there. You know, if you were, there's already rules for this within our First Amendment. You know, you are a private company, but you still have to roll by the rules of the First Amendment somewhat, especially when it comes to news agencies. Suppressing news is against the law. Period. You know, they're making something. If they wouldn't have suppressed this, I guarantee you, if they wouldn't have suppressed this, this wouldn't have exploded into what it is. You know, people probably would be a little mad. Maybe some changes in the votes for Biden. wouldn't have happened. But early voting was already taking place. So I don't even know if this would really would have changed anything because of early voting. But anyways, let's continue on. So, in one humorous exchange on day one, Democratic Congressman Ro Khanna reaches out to Gade to gently suggest she hoped to hop on the phone to talk about the backlash re-speech. Khanna was the only Democrat official I could find in the files who expressed concern. Generating huge backlash on Hill re-speech. Happy to chat if you're up for it. Best row. Sent from my phone. Gade replies quickly, immediately diving into the weeds of Twitter policy, unaware Khanna is more worried about the Bill of Rights. Hi, Congressman Khanna. Thank you for reaching out, and we appreciate the heads up. We put out a clarifying thread of tweets earlier this evening to explain our policy around the posting of private information and linking directly to hacked materials. The press secretary's account was not permanently suspended. We requested that she delete the tweet containing material that is in violation of our rules, and her account is restricted until she complies. I'd be happy to jump on the phone if helpful. My team in DC, Jessica and Lauren, are copied here and also available to discuss. Thanks, Via. Okay. Khanna tries to reroute the conversation to the First Amendment, mention of which is generally hard to find in the files. So, Ro Khanna to Via Jagade. Ro Khanna. Hope you are well, Via. But this seems a violation of the First Amendment principles. If there is a hack of classified information or other information that could expose a serious war crime and the New York Times was to publish it, I think the New York Times should have the right. A journalist should not be held accountable for the illegal actions of the source unless they actively aided in the hack. So, to restrict the distribution of that material, especially regarding a presidential candidate, seems not in the keeping of the principles of the New York Times versus Sullivan. And there's there's also fucking law. There's also a court case that backs this. I say this as a total Biden partisan and convinced he didn't do anything wrong. But the story now has become more about censorship than relatively innocuous emails, and it's become a bigger deal than it would have been. I agree. It is also now leading to serious efforts to curtail Section 230, many of which would have been a mistake. I believe Twitter itself should curtail what it recommends or puts in trending news, and your policy against QAnon groups is all good. It's hard to balance. But in the heat of a presidential campaign, restricting dissemination of newspaper articles, even the New York Post is far right, seems like it will invite more backlash than it will do good. Please keep this communication between just us and Jack, and no need to CC the team or forward to them. Just wanted to offer my 2 cents. So, see, even they are worried about how this violates the First Amendment. And everybody who's like, well, they're a private company. They don't have to abide by the First Amendment. No. No. If that was the fucking case, they would not be emailing them saying, hey, you are barking up the wrong tree. You know? And, that little email there, I kind of got the feeling that she was saying, Twitter is in violation of the First Amendment. We understand you're doing that to groups like QAnon, but to do it to a news organization is a different thing. Please, going forward, be a little bit more discreet. Also, let's keep this conversation between us because I really don't care about the First Amendment, but we have to make it look like we do. That's what I kind of felt what she was saying in there, but I could be misinterpreting it. All right, let's continue on. We're almost done here. So, within a day, head of public policy Lauren Culberson receives a ghastly letter report from Carl Sasbo of the research firm at NetChoice, which had already polled 12 members of Congress, 9 Republicans and 3 Democrats, from the House Judiciary Committee. And let's look at this. Lauren. Yesterday, Net's choice Chris Marchis met informally with 9 Republicans and 3 Democrats, House staffers, to gather intel about Facebook and Twitter and the New York Post story. The staffers hail from the House Judiciary Committee to Rep. Judy Cho's office. Net Choice lets Twitter know a bloodbath awaits in an upcoming Hill hearing, with members saying it's tipping point, complaining tech has grown so big that they can't even regulate themselves, so government may need to intervene. High-level takeaway: every Republican said this is a tipping point. It's just too much, and both Democrats and Republicans were angry. I don't know how we gathered that from that, but anyways, let's go on. Sasbo reports to Twitter that some Hill figures are characterizing the laptop story as Tech Access Hollywood. When asked just how bad this situation is, one staffer said it's Tech Access Hollywood moment and it has no Hillary to hide behind. Others were more blunt. Tech is screwed, and rightfully so. And yeah, they are, dude. Especially with this coming out. Yeah, they are. So, Twitter files continued. The First Amendment is an absolute. Sabzo's letter contains chilling passages relying Democratic lawmakers' attitudes. They want more moderation, and as for the Bill of Rights, it's not absolute. Let's read this. So, the Democrats, meanwhile, complain that the companies are inept. They let conservatives muddy the water and make the Biden campaign look corrupt, even though Biden is innocent. They linked this to Hillary Clinton's email scandal. She did nothing wrong, but because the press wouldn't let the story go, it became a scandal, far out of proportion. In their mind, social media is doing the same thing. It doesn't moderate enough harmful content, so when it does, like it did yesterday, it becomes a story. If the companies moderate more, conservatives wouldn't even think to use social media for disinformation, misinformation, or otherwise. The Democrats were in agreement. Social media needs to moderate more because they're corrupting democracy and making all truth relative. When pushed on how the government might insist on that, consistent with the First Amendment, they demurred. The First Amendment isn't absolute. What? No, they basically stated because Twitter censors insufficiently. When stories like this that deserve censorship and are censored, they become bigger stories than they should be. If Twitter started to aggressively censor conservatives, we would be less likely to post false or misleading information. Fortunately for you, Twitter, the First Amendment is not absolute. So we need you to do better. The fuck does that mean, man? Wow. That's insane. That is, dude. All right, we're almost done here, so let's keep on reading. An amazing subplot of the Twitter Hunter Biden laptop affairs was how much was done without the knowledge of CEO Jack Dorsey and how long it took for the situation to get unfucked. As one ex-employee put it, even after Dorsey jumped in. And obviously he deleted that tweet. So, there are multiple instances in the files of Dorsey intervening to question suspensions and other moderation actions for accounts across the political spectrum. The problem with the hacked materials ruling, several sources said, was that this normally required an official law enforcement finding of a hack. Exactly. But such a finding never appears throughout what one executive describes as a whirlwind 24-hour company-wide message. We don't need to read that because it's just him saying, hey, this is going to be a whirlwind. Thank you for doing as much as you guys can. We're trying to rectify this. Thank you. That's basically what it says. It's been a whirlwind of 96 hours for me, too. There is much more to come, including answers to questions about issues like shadow banning, boosting follower counts, the fate of various individual accounts, and more. These issues are not limited to the political rights. And he kind of says this will be continued. So, the media is trying to make light of this because of what was released in the first edition, what we just read. For many years, Democrats and neocons have argued that social media is part of the free market. No, it's a private company with the right to censor speech and suspend whoever it wants. Your First Amendment rights are not applicable. But as we have seen, Twitter suppressed the New York Post, not because they broke their policy, but because they felt the story was too dangerous and could be Russian misinformation used to influence the outcome of our election. The DNC was asking Twitter to review and suspend accounts that were sharing leaked emails and photos from Hunter's laptop. They are no longer a private company when they start doing the bidding of a governmental agency. No. And not just one, several. It wasn't just the DNC. And I guess you can argue that the Biden team wasn't a governmental agency, okay? But the FBI came in and told Twitter that there would be a leak of Russian misinformation and that Twitter, Facebook, etc., should do their best to combat this attack. And this is before Hunter Biden, the laptop thing came out. And if you don't believe me, here's Mark Zuckerberg corroborating that.
There was a lot of attention on Twitter during the election because of the Hunter Biden laptop story. The New York Post.
Had that too.
Yeah, so you guys censored that as well?
So we took a different path than Twitter. Basically the background here is the FBI, I think, basically came to us, some folks on our team, and was like, hey, just so you know, like, you should be on high alert. We thought that there was a lot of Russian propaganda in the 2016 election. We have it on notice that basically there's about to be some kind of dump of that's similar to that. So just be vigilant.
Yeah. Right there, man. The FBI came in. Sorry, my phone kind of acted up there. I don't know what happened, but yeah, but the FBI, exactly what they did. They came in and they told them, hey, it's the heads up. There's going to be Russian misinformation coming. Russia, right? And I'm sure they told Mark and the rest of the Twitter team more than just that. He's just saying what he needs to say. Right? I don't know, man. It's just all weird. But what I also find a little odd is it didn't take long for leftist pundits to come out in unison and tweet essentially the same thing, but phrased differently. It's almost as if they all work for the same company and were sent an email saying, hey, say this in your tweets. And let's look at this, dude. it's odd. So Mediaite put together all these tweets, basically. So you have Ben Collins saying, imagine throwing it all away to do PR work for the richest person in the world. Humiliating shit. And this is about Matt Taibbi. I'm sorry. But, and then Chris Hayes, watching some of the most famous, most powerful, and richest men red pill themselves into disaster. Pretty wild. Imagine volunteering to do online PR work for the world's richest man on Friday night in service of nakedly and cynically right-wing narratives, and then pretending you're speaking the truth to power. Watching Matt's unbelievable fall into lazy reactionary commentary on now PR hand for commentary, and now PR hand for the world's richest man is depressing. From calling Goldman Sachs a vampire squid to giving free PR to the world's richest billionaire. You see? It's just So this thread should be taught in journalism school as evidence of the importance of editors. Editors are great not just because they make you work sharper, but because you can ask them things like, hey, should I be doing PR work for the richest man on the planet? Matt Taibbi, what's sad? Disgraceful downfall. I swear, kids, he did good work back in the day. Should be the cautionary tale for everyone. Selling your soul for the richest white nationalist on earth. Well, he'll eat well for the rest of his life, I guess. But is it worth it? And it just keeps on going. I know he's telling you what you want to hear, but that doesn't change the fact that he's working PR for the, yeah, you see, it's the same fucking phrasing. It's the same words. And there's 27 of them. We just kind of ran through. I don't need to run through all of them because you can kind of see what Mediaite was doing here. They all came out in unison. It was just one after another. I remember seeing them too. I was like, why is everybody saying this? You know? Like I said earlier, it's kind of like they all got an email saying, hey, we need to fucking run. We need to run we need to run a defamation campaign on this real quick. You know? Probably used the wrong word there. But yeah, no, it was odd. It was odd to see. You know, all of them coming out in unison here. But this will be a developing story as we head into the next year. You know, Musk provided the Republican-led House with ammunition for what the left is calling false claims about the Hunter Biden laptop investigation. You know, which Republicans promised would take place when they take over. You know, and I really hope Republicans stick to their guns on this one. You know, we need answers. You know, and I hope this investigation opens up doors to Hunter and Joe's involvement in Ukraine with Burisma. I'm willing to bet that Joe Biden is the big guy that Hunter is talking about in his messages found on that laptop. Now, I want to know why Joe Biden asked Poroshenko to fire the leading prosecutor that was looking into Hunter's business dealings in Ukraine. And if he didn't fire the prosecutor, he would withhold billions of dollars in funding to Ukraine. Now, does that sound familiar? That is what Trump was looking into when he called Zelensky. And the Democrats accused Trump of a quid pro quo and impeached him. No, they impeached Trump for the very thing that Joe Biden did in this clip.
I got all the good ones, so I got Ukraine. And I remember going over convincing our team, or others too, convincing us that we should be providing for loan guarantees. And I went over for, I guess, the 12th, 13th time to Kyiv, and I was supposed to announce that there was another $1 billion loan guarantee. And I had gotten a commitment from Poroshenko and from Yatsenyuk that they would take action against the state prosecutor, and they didn't. So they said they were walking out to press conference. I said, no, I'm not going to, we're not going to give you the $1 billion. They said, you have no authority. You're not the president. The president said. I said, call him. I said, I'm telling you, you're not getting the $1 billion. I said, you're not getting the $1 billion. I'm going to be leaving here. And I think it was, 6 hours? I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Well, son of a bitch. Got fired. If the prosecutor's not fired.
Right? That's not a quid pro quo. I don't know what is. Now, and like I said, that's exactly why Trump called Zelensky. And Zelensky said that he wasn't going to do it. So Trump's like, okay, well, if you're not going to do this for me, maybe some of that shit that we were going to send you is not going to come. You know? And then the Democrats are like, ooh! You know? You know, and I honestly think this is a bigger scandal going on with Ukraine. You know, and I think Hunter Biden's laptop is going to point us in the right direction.